I want to share with you a story, a creepy Halloween story about an Etsy seller who made a sale on Etsy. Sounds exciting. And the customer received that item. However, the customer was a bad person and decided that they wanted the item and their money, so they opened a case with Etsy. That shouldn't be a problem, say you, but unfortunately Etsy automatically sided with the customer and returned the customer's money out of the seller's account, and the seller had no control over this. This is not just a creepy Halloween story, this is the truth. Think of this as your public service announcement. If you sell on Etsy, you should be aware of this at all the time. But as the holiday season, Q4 of the year, Christmas time, is the biggest time for sales on Etsy, it's also the biggest chance you've got of this becoming an issue or potentially becoming an issue. Now, I will always clarify, most customers are lovely on Etsy. However, over time, Etsy has attracted a different sort of clientele and sort of trained customers to be a bit scammy. And the purchase protection program, although in some ways very good, it can also be a bad thing. Now, to jump into straight away, what is the purchase protection program? If you haven't even heard of this, this has been out for a good while, a couple of years now on Etsy. And it's a guarantee for customers that they can trust buying on Etsy because if things go wrong, they are guaranteed to get their money back. That sounds fair. And it happened when Etsy put up our fees from 3% to 4.5%. I can't remember the numbers. It's been a long week. Anyway, so it happened when all that happened. So basically, our increase in fees is really covering this. And if something goes wrong, Etsy just pays the customer back. Everybody's happy. Unless it is possible that your sale doesn't meet the criteria and Etsy doesn't pay the money back. Etsy takes the money from your account and gives it to the customer. So you might end up with a sale where you've shipped your item to the customer. They do not have to return it to you. They get your item for free and you have given them the money back. This isn't Etsy demanding that you give the money back. Etsy takes the money from you and gives it to the customer. So you might end up down an item depending on your customers. So you have to be aware of this purchase protection program. So if you haven't looked into this, you have to look into this. Now, there's some good news. Potentially, Etsy is not closing these cases quite so quickly. But as I say, this is your little helpful announcement and reminder. Make sure your listings are eligible for this. So what do I mean by eligible? Let's look into what Etsy says about this. It's built to ensure that buyers and sellers have a positive experience on Etsy. For eligible sellers, our program can offer a little extra peace of mind when cases arise. Etsy may cover buyer refunds for orders up to $250 on any case arising from a qualified order. Over the Christmas period, over the holidays period, that has been doubled to $500. So this is very good. Let me explain straight away. If your item is over this amount, so for the rest of the year, if your order is over $250, or currently, if your order is over $500, your order from your point of view is not eligible, but from the buyer's point of view, it's still eligible. All orders for buyers are eligible for Etsy to look into this and potentially refund. So if you sell something that's over $500 and the customer opens a case, there is a possibility that Etsy will take that money from you. So until Etsy sort out this system, I'm going to say, where possible, don't sell items that expensive on Etsy, and this really annoys me. Etsy should be the place to be trusted for this, but no, don't sell these items, or if you do, make sure you're insured everywhere. Your shipping, everything else. Make sure you're insured, so if something goes wrong and Etsy covers it, you at least get your money back. The terms are part of our terms of use. To qualify for the Etsy Purchase Protection Program for sellers, you agree to these terms and our terms of use. Basically, you're opted in. The Etsy Protection Program for sellers is not an insurance policy, a warranty, or a guarantee. Etsy will decide in its sole discretion if a transaction is guaranteed protection under the Etsy Purchase Protection Program or not. Etsy reserves the right to change, suspend, or discontinue the program at any time for any reason. Will not be liable to you for the effect of the changes to the program that may have on you. You have no legal claim under the program. So, yeah, if Etsy takes your money and you think they were wrong, tough, you agreed to it. In the event that Etsy doesn't refund the buyer, this will not affect the buyer's rights to make claims against your shop. Your legal rights remain intact. So, yeah, even if Etsy says no to the case, your customer can still sort of come after you, but they're unlikely to. Now, when this started, what was happening was pretty much automatically Etsy was closing up these cases and refunding so fast that they were not even looking at it. In Etsy News this week, I covered we're now seeing that Etsy are automatically turning down some people. The hypothesis is these are people who have been abusing the system, so it's a flag in Etsy's system that basically you raise a case, nah, computer says no. So, good thing. So let's have a look at about Etsy purchase protection for sellers. We understand things can go wrong even if a seller has taken all the necessary steps to ensure a good buyer experience. Under Etsy's purchase protection program for sellers, Etsy helps qualified sellers resolve eligible cases. In these cases where an order meets all of our requirements, Etsy may refund buyers for orders up to a total of $250. 500 just now, including postage and taxes. So don't think if it's $499 it's okay. If they've paid taxes, takes it up over. So be aware of that. And the seller will not be held responsible. So the thing is, the customer has to message you to say they need help with the order, and then after 2 days they can open a case. And Etsy, this is what triggers the purchase protection program. So after the 2 days, if they open a case, Etsy will decide one way or another. But this case doesn't hurt your shop unless if it's over the $500 and Etsy takes the money from you, again, that doesn't hurt you. But if they close and Etsy pays, if Etsy says this was covered by the purchase protection program, this doesn't hurt you. If they close the case against you and take the money from you, if it's under the $250 or $500, then that is counted against you and could reduce your ranking in search or your visibility, as Etsy's calling things. Etsy Purchase Protection Program for sellers applies to cases where the item doesn't arrive, arrives late, or where there's disputes about listing accuracy. In general, it will not apply to cases concerning damage. However, Etsy may cover a seller's first case related to damage each calendar year. So this is quite a cool thing. If something gets damaged in the post, if it happens once, Etsy might give you your money back. If this keeps on happening, Etsy will still refund the customer because they've got a damaged item, but it'll come out of your money. I think this is kind of fair, because if you keep shipping things and they keep getting damaged in the post, you can't go, that's not my fault, that's the shipping carrier's fault. If it keeps happening, you have to look at how you are packaging your items. It's on you to make sure your items can survive. And if you keep using a certain shipping carrier and that shipping carrier is always damaging your items, pick a different one. It's your responsibility what shipping carrier you take. For cases where the item doesn't arrive or arrives late, Etsy's purchase protection protects sellers for orders that are dispatched within the stated processing time. So if you ship late, Etsy will take your money. So if it's dispatched within their stated processing time, but ultimately not received at their final destination or received later, then Etsy will cover it if it fits the other criteria. Sellers who meet the eligibility criteria outlined may not be held financially responsible. Basically, in practice, if you ship it in time and it turns up late, and late now, Etsy is saying arrives on time or your money back, and their idea of on time is the shipping times that they are promising the customer, which are really terrible sometimes. So this is a very good case that probably it's a good idea to make sure that your listings are eligible, because especially around Christmas time, the post can be much slower than Etsy's predicting. Etsy's using a bit of AI, using some algorithms, and also using what the shipping company say. Well, I posted an item to Australia. I'm in Scotland, and Etsy was saying it would get there in like 3 days. It will not get to Australia in 3 days. That's not a thing. And so if it arrives late, your customer can ask for their money back. Well, that's Etsy's promise. Etsy can blooming well pay for that, as far as I'm concerned. For disputes about listing accuracy, Etsy Purchase Protection Program protects sellers for orders that match the listing's description and photos, where buyers claim it doesn't. Etsy doesn't cover orders that differ from the listing description, so we strongly recommend accurate photos and descriptions when listing an item. It's part of the policies as well. Your photos have to show what your item's going to be, and be very careful about this. If you are selling one mug and you maybe have several variations, or it looks cute in a group with more than one. Now, I've done this with pictures before. I'm selling one thing, but it looks cute with other things. The seller might look and go, the picture had 3 mugs. I expected 3 mugs for $5. Thank you very much. And Etsy would side with them. For cases where an item arrives damaged, yeah, we already said this, Etsy, once each calendar year from January to December, Etsy will cover it. If stuff's getting broken, sort it up. So to be eligible, you're automatically covered if you take the steps detailed below. Use a valid tracking and, or where available, a purchase label purchased on Etsy. If not using postage labels on Etsy, mark your order as dispatched after you send it, and provide Etsy with a valid tracking number on the order that shows the order route and delivery progress. Many countries, now there's different, definitely in the UK that was fine. If it was under $10, you were still covered, because getting tracking on something under $10 is not worth it. Some other countries had that, but I will say even some of our first class parcel tracking, it doesn't show the order route and the delivery process. It says it's on the way, and then it says it's there. It's not the best in the whole world. So probably, unless you're paying for full-on tracking, which is very expensive from the UK, other countries it's not even available. Where you can, I'm afraid I'm going to recommend to purchase Etsy's postage labels as the safest thing here. For UK sellers, definitely. I think in the US and stuff, it's more normal to have tracking numbers. So make sure you mark your order as dispatched and put the tracking number in for your item. But if there's any worry about it, I'm sorry, use Etsy postage labels if you can. I will say I held off using them for ages. The post office don't make as much money as they should from them, and our local post offices are struggling. They've had such a hard time. But Etsy postage labels have been good lately. They are much easier. Use Etsy's payment platform where available, but Etsy's payment platform is only available in some countries. But if Etsy Payments is not yet available to you, you will not be eligible for purchase protection for sellers. For PayPal transactions, buyers will be directed to handle cases through PayPal. So if Etsy haven't set up Etsy Payments in your country, Etsy will take the money from you. That's what I'm reading. I've not heard cases of this, but it very much sounds like it. Dispatch the order to the address provided on Etsy. If your buyer provides an alternative delivery address through messages, be mindful of fraud or scams. You may choose to cancel and refund the order and ask your buyer to purchase this item again with the corrected delivery address. This annoys me. If they ask for an alternative address through messages, it's good customer service to, yes, watch out for fraud and scams, but I have had this loads of times. Customers say, can you ship it somewhere? Oops, there's a problem. And it's perfectly fine. You just change. You can change when you're making the shipping label. You can change the address, and Etsy has a record of all that. Also, the shipping labels, sometimes the address doesn't fit and you've got to tweak it slightly so it won't be the exact same. I can tweak it in 2 seconds. However, if you message the customer and say, oh, you got it totally wrong, let's cancel the order and buy again, that's really bad customer service. Package to avoid damage in transit. Include processing times on your listing. I think we have to with listings just now, but anyway. So, yeah, you put your processing time, give yourself some wiggle room, because you're not eligible for the purchase protection program if you ship late and it doesn't get to the customer on time, which it's not likely to. So you have to give a good, don't overpromise and underdeliver. Do the opposite. Give yourself some wiggle room. Fill out your shop policies. Check the laws, especially like EU and the UK. People can get it's like a 14-day cooling down period. You can have returns, refunds. So look into that. Keep your shop in good standing. Sellers are responsible for refunding costs for orders that fall outside of these requirements, are over the $250 or $500 threshold, or are damaged in transit following the first case. Etsy strongly recommends purchasing insurance when you're fulfilling orders for these reasons. So, this is just my... You've probably heard this before. You might have forgot this. You might not have heard this before. Etsy will take the money from you if you're not eligible, and they do it automatically. Now, they are getting a bit better and not refunding everybody automatically. They seem to be catching scammers. But in general, your customer sends the need help with my order message. 2 days later, they can open a case. They open their case and Etsy refunds automatically. Now, this has been handy. I won't lie. When it started, that Christmas period, the UK Post Office decided to go on strike, which would have been very hurtful for my business. I mean, it was still very difficult. I had lots of people messaging me saying, where's my item? And most of them kind of got there on time, but they didn't get there on time for Christmas. They didn't get there in time that Etsy was saying they would be getting there. So I had lots of concerned customers. I won't say angry, they were all very lovely. And when I walked them through the purchase protection program, because it's Etsy making the promise it's going to be there on time. In other years, I would have just said postage is running late, keep an eye on the post box, and I would have just helped them out if it was late for Christmas. But it's late for what Etsy's promising. So Etsy refunded a lot of orders and did make it a bit easier for me. And some people obviously had a great Christmas because they got the Christmas presents and their money back, and I got a sale and kept the money. So yeah, if Etsy wants its business model to be giving away money, fair enough, not my problem. But yeah, I'm just letting you know. So if you've never heard that before, or you've heard about it and forgot about it, yeah, just double check, because this is the time when you're set, you might lose the most money. I hope that helps anyway. Check it out, and yeah, I'll see you next time.